Rodger Stone has a lot of really great sources. And he doesn't like to play up his sources, obviously, because then they try to block his access to those sources. But they know, with statements we've seen on Meet the Press and Fox News Sunday and other places, they know exactly what's going on. So I think at this point, Rodger can say as much as he'd like, but I think they know the cards, we know the cards. I think the public needs to know the cards so you understand just how dire the situation is. Now, good things are happening with the economy. Good things are happening with Supreme Court and federal judges and the borders. Best of times, worst of times, tale of two cities. But they're trying to cut the president off. They're saying everywhere, stop tweeting, because they want to cut his information off. They've got Kelly reportedly trying to cut the information off to find the leakers. But we have giant news concerning McMaster that is high level and that we can also substantiate from Reuters and Associated Press and other reports that have already come out. But this shows us that McMaster is not just on a think tank with George Soros funding, and he's not just bringing in a bunch of former top George Soros people that headed up his foundations, but that he is being monitored by multiple intelligence agencies and is an actual operative fully taking orders and giving briefings and under the command. This is exclusive of the gentleman that the state of Israel has now declared an enemy of their state and who is openly trying to overthrow the Israeli government and in the WikiLeaks turn them over to the Muslims. New York Times, Israel's war against George Soros. Oh, evil Israel. Poor, sweet little Nazi collaborator George Soros. You cannot make this up. Israel backs Hungary, says financier Soros is a threat. Bombshell, Soros insider infiltrates Trump administration. That was us on May 31st. We now have the direct intel that McMaster is a foreign intelligence agent. That's what this is. But we think of it as governments. What about multinational combines that fictional groups like Spectre and Chaos and things are modeled after? And that's admittedly what George Soros does. So you're about to get the huge breaking news exclusively right now that has been double-checked by Stone with his sources. You've got Fox News saying we've got to stop his memos getting to the president. That's the big secret. They got to stop my information in those memos getting to the president. I don't know how much Stone can say, but this is huge. Rodger Stone, thank you for joining us. I know you've just rushed back to D.C. this morning. You just got there. You're leaving your hotel to have key meetings right after this interview. You just checked in, so I know you've got to hurry. Please give us your info, and again, watch your back.
Thank you very much, Alex. It's interesting that yesterday, the attorney Larry Klayman predicted that I would be targeted for annihilation as part of the Trump takedown. I am not afraid. I'm actually here to meet with other Trump loyalists in a new group that we have founded, the membership of which is secret, but we call it the 45 group because we're prepared to protect and defend our 45th president. We have learned definitively that Israeli intelligence has intercepted communications from General McMaster to George Soros, reporting on a regular basis on the reorganization of the White House and what is going on inside the Oval Office. I have double-checked this with two different sources very high up in Israeli intelligence. I actually expect the ambassador to Israel, from Israel to the United States, may be confirming this for news organizations this afternoon. This is not surprising because, as you know, Alex, we first reported here that a woman named Fiona Hill, who actually once worked for Soros and the Open Society operation, had been brought into the White House by McMaster specifically to handle.
And by the way, she was a director of large operations which interface with other foreign governments and intelligence agencies. So this is the big multinational breakaway group, his Open Society group, where they recruit people out of other intelligence agencies into this multinational group to engage in treason. You know, this one I think is not easy to explain. Under what circumstances
in what universe would Donald Trump's national security advisor be briefing George Soros, a sworn enemy of the Trump administration, a globalist, who has demonstrated again and again that he's prepared to break the law and utilize violence to try to achieve his goals?
And why not? He never gets in trouble. Not when he was selling out his fellow Jews and helping round them up. Not when he overthrew all these governments. Not when he funded the Arab Spring. He's had a vampiric life of delightful carnage.
So the McMaster problem is a real one. I do want to make one correction. I said inadvertently yesterday in our report that it was Steve Bannon who called Matt Drudge and asked him not to run the McMaster stories regarding Susan Rice. I misspoke. That was incorrect. It was Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law, who asked Drudge not to run the McMaster stories. I can also tell you that while Sean Spicer and Reince Priebus had worked very hard to make sure that the presidential news summary did not include anything published or put forward by the Daily Caller, Breitbart, Infowars.com, Town Hall, and a number of other excellent alternative sites.
And by the way, we reported this weeks ago. It's now confirmed. There's a blacklist of Trump's hardline supporters that are Americana, that are tried and true, and that are exposing McMaster, purging anybody exposing the fact that he's in bed with Soros and Islamicists.
Well, and again, this headline's a perfect example. It's a misnomer. In order to secure a statement from the president supporting McMaster, they essentially dissembled saying, some people, not conservatives, not Trump supporters, some people are attacking McMaster because he's not sufficiently pro-Israel, Mr. President. So would you put out a statement saying he's a friend of Israel? And of course, the president complied. Now that gets used as a blanket endorsement of McMaster's activities. But I can tell you for an absolute fact that the president was not briefed on the fact that McMaster gave Susan Rice a pass, said there was nothing wrong with her engaging in political espionage, and that he extended her security, her national security clearance. The president was not told these things within the context of the attack on McMaster. So he is being manipulated. Let me tell you something. He hates being manipulated. They're not going to be successful in cutting him out. They're not going to be successful in isolating him because he will break out. He will call old friends. He will call key supporters. He will call those he knows were with him from the beginning. And the first time the president learns something that he should have been told by his handlers, but he wasn't, there will be hell to pay.
I've noticed that pattern that when he's given good info, but learns that it was blocked from him, he particularly acts on the info they've tried to keep from him, especially when it's from tried and true sources that continue to have the real sixth sense of what's going on. Let's play a clip of Fox Sunday with this reporter on there, this Charles Hurt, bemoaning the fact that will they be successful in isolating the president? Here it is.
McMaster has, I believe, 3 stars on his shoulder, but his military bearing hasn't protected him from a campaign of vicious leaks coming from people within the White House who regard him as sort of a sellout on foreign policy. Kelly has to get, he's got his hands on that problem right now. And I think a lot of people inside the staff are looking to see if he can really get control of it. Because if he can, well, then I think he'll have established his authority and people will do what he says. But if somehow people find ways to work around even John Kelly, if the back channeling directly to the president and sending him memos that, reflect the latest Alex Jones conspiracy theory continues, then I think Kelly still has a problem on his hands.
And so,
Roger, I want to get back to Soros because it's proven that McMaster's in bed with the groups that are working for the Open Society, the world government, and that Soros is kind of the cutout that multinationals use to carry this out. But specifically, you've not wanted to build up your contact, and neither have I, and the memos and the rest of it. But not just from this guy. I mean, they know what's going on, and I don't know how much we can say or how much we can get into, dealing with all this. But people just need to understand we continue to break huge news like Priebus going to be fired by the weekend and who was going to replace him, because we do have the highest level sources. And it's not just about us having sources. It's that they really are on Capitol Hill trying to sell the idea of overthrowing the president, drugging him, saying he collapsed, killing him. They're looking at seizing the media. They're looking at shutting off Sean Hannity as soon as this happens, Rush Limbaugh, Matt Drudge. I mean, there's no selling out to this. They're not giving us quarter, and they're going to come after our jobs, the economy. These are horrible people. This is a multinational group that wants to bankrupt the country, to buy it up for pennies on the dollar. We're under total war attack. And we need to see the president move very strongly against this outside multinational threat. And I get it's outrageous we've got a double agent like McMaster clearly in there. But, you know, you're talking to the highest levels confirming they're monitoring people's communications. Other governments are. And to the foreign government's, you know, horror, here's McMaster with briefings and taking orders. I mean, just like General Jones, who's not a bad guy in some ways, but, you know, did say I get my orders, you know, every day from Henry Kissinger. That was treasonous. But this isn't Kissinger. At least he's in a, you know, what we're dealing with here is just unbelievable garbage. And so out of one side of their mouth, they're pushing coup, violence, authoritarian takeover. But so we can't organize it against it. They go, oh, look, Jones is crazy. He just made it up and said gay frogs are going to have a coup or something. So we're just in an incredible moment historically, Rodger.
Well, and let's look across the horizon. Limbaugh, Hannity, Levin, all reporting that there's a slow motion coup in place. They all get it. They're right on the money. This is an effort to co-opt Donald Trump. If he'll go quietly into his room and they are able to suspend work on the wall, they are able to submarine his corporate tax cuts. They are able to persuade him not to prosecute the Obama NSA front line for their egregious mass-based spying, according to the FISA report. They will lull the president to sleep, and they will keep him there until Robert Mueller, the appointed Lord High Executioner, is prepared to spring his trick on the president. This is very reminiscent of the way that General Al Haig walked Richard Nixon towards the exit, all the time professing his loyalty and the fact that he would fight to the bitter end, when in fact he already had Nixon's exit carefully planned.
Was it Haig that was the main deep throat?
I believe that is the case. Haig, his loyalty is to the Pentagon and the neocons, and he realizes that Nixon cannot survive. And therefore, he does a number of things to set Nixon up, including the famous 18.5-minute gap, which was not made by Rosemary Woods, was made by General Haig and Fred Buzzard. If you read my book, Nixon's Secrets, this is, of course, all documented.
Of course, you were best friends with Nixon after he was president. Now, let's expand on all this. They're doing the same thing. They're telling everybody, go along with this, take care of yourself, or we're going to get you, we're going to put you in prison too. And most of these guys are rolling over like cowards. Well, it's not like you're just rolling over to let the Pentagon run things like 1974. This is letting, 1975, this is letting globalists come in that want to literally destroy our families, take our guns, wreck the nation, and destroy the country. I mean, no one can join with this. This is insane. Everyone must fight against this system. I think the president's in a good position if he keeps tweeting. He's launched his own network now, starting out with a once-a-week program. They're horrified of that. They keep saying, oh, CNN polls say don't tweet, because they want to put their lies out and not have him counter it. I think the president's got to go on offense big time. What do you think he should do right now and then back into Soros?
Well, Alex, I think we're now going to play this extended cat and mouse game. They're going to try to play keep away with the president of the United States. They're going to treat him like a mushroom, keep him in the dark and feed him crap. Unfortunately, in Donald Trump, you have a naturally inquisitive, extroverted guy who likes to talk to people and likes to get the feel for issues. He didn't get, for example, the failures in our veterans health care program from some poll or some focus group. He got it by talking to veterans. And the more he heard, the angrier he got. He gets straight from the people. He gets sustenance from the people. That's why they will not, in the end, be able to isolate him as hard as they may try. Right now, it's problematic that he's not seeing Breitbart or Daily Caller or InfoWars, that these things are not included in his news summary, and there's nobody surfing the
And
net.
imagine how scary it is for them, because it's confirmed. They don't even want him looking at Drudge, but he knows to go to Drudge, and so that's why reportedly they're trying to even keep, articles off there about what McMaster really did. He didn't just say, oh, Susan Rice can keep her clearance so I can talk to her. No, he says she's good. Unmasking the president's good. Spying on him when he was a candidate and his family is good. The president needs to know that McMaster did that. That's the facts.
Well, and you had a terrific story in the Free Beacon 2 days ago that indicated Samantha Power, the UN ambassador, was unmasking hundreds of people. I want to bet they were all Republicans. But based on my information, the president has not yet been briefed about this. It's not clear that the president completely understands the scope and depth of the surveillance that was conducted by Obama. To put it another way, when Donald Trump said he was surveilled at Trump Tower, he was right. He was correct. And the FISA court document delivered in November proves it.
And let's expand on this, Roger. Those that have talked to the president, he is super upbeat. Oh, look at the stock market. Look at the economy. Look, 2 or 3, new companies just came in. He sees that as winning. That's why they call him crazy. He's just a straightforward business guy that, believes in free market and two-way streets. But then you hear in the news, he's depressed, he's this and that. From the intel I've got, when they convinced him to compromise at like day 75 on a bad health bill, he got depressed by that because he went out on the road and his constituents were generally mad and his poll numbers did actually dip for the only real time. So as long as he's being real, he's happy, but they're selling this idea that he's downbeat. But there's a bad side to that. He's so upbeat, focused on getting the economy going and securing the border, which he's done, and killing the carbon tax and all the rest of it, that I think he's too confident. So they're saying he's depressed and unconfident. I think from what I've heard, he's too confident and too positive, not underestimating how dangerous these serpents are.
Well, he's very, very proud of these recent 2 rallies he's done, one in Ohio, one in Pennsylvania, and now more recently in West Virginia, because they confirm what we saw at the campaign. The polls are wrong. People vote with their feet, and they show up at his rallies in historic numbers.
But CNN admits they had 9 to 34 points against him in every poll. They're totally fake.
And I believe the president is totally focused on the economy. He wants his corporate tax cut. He is very disappointed in the congressional Republicans who have given him lip service, but have abandoned him on key votes, and now would like to water down his entire economic package. In all honesty, we've reached a point, Alex, where in Washington, the House and Senate Republicans are no longer afraid of Donald Trump. They don't think that he will break out of the box and challenge them, which I think may be a miscalculation. If you want to get their attention, Donald Trump needs to take out a couple Republican incumbents, some of the worst characters out there.
That's right. Watching him raise them record money, breaking 7 times any record when a new incumbent comes in 6 months in, and they sit there bitching and backstabbing him because these old establishment Republicans, and by that I mean old thought, they love CNN, they love MSNBC, they love Fox, which is turning against him, and they love being patted on the head by CNN, which had slit their throat in a second for a stick of bubble gum. And they're just so stupid and such archaic anachronisms who don't even belong to the modern internet age. They don't understand. If they destroy Trump, as Pat Buchanan says, they are going to make him an even bigger martyr. The Machiavellian side of me kind of hopes they do, but then I know they're coming for me next. But I don't think like that. Just like if Hillary would have gone in, we'd be making 3 times the money we ever made. I mean, a lot of our things like storable food, 95% less sales than we were. People should be buying more food now than they used to. But you know what? I'm glad Trump's in because it's the right thing to do. I mean, people always sit there and think, I think of things like I'm Machiavelli, like what's good for me. What's good for me is a good world, an honorable world, not a scumbag world run by witches like Hillary and Kim Jong ding-dong-il. Sorry.
Alex, I got to be honest with you. Had Hillary Clinton won, I'm not sure they'd be able to find your body, or maybe mine either. But in all seriousness, in this case, somebody's got to stand up for the president. Somebody's got to keep trying to break through the cocoon. President's naturally inquisitive. I think the generals have their work.
That's right. Listen, I know you got to go, but we got to go to break. Do 5 more, and then you got to go, because Rodger Stone now officially works as a correspondent with InfoWars, and he's got breaking exclusive news right now about exactly who McMaster's working for. And from my research, the intel he's got shows that what's happening is illegal. It's a form of espionage. Rodger Stone, please break it down for us.
Alex, I now have confirmed from a source both inside the White House and a source in the Israeli government, as well as a source in Israeli intelligence, that the Israelis have intercepted email communications between General McMaster's and George Soros, informing him of everything that is going on inside the being reorganized White House. Further, that a woman named Fiona Hill, a former Soros staffer, has been brought into the White House by McMaster with the specific job of getting control of a Russia policy and defeating any effort towards détente with the Russians, going on a war footing, so perhaps we can get World War III. McMaster is proving to be the quisling. I think he is the first among equal in the 3 general cabal that is seeking to grab control of the White House. As you know, General Mattis is the first military man to be a Secretary of Defense, which required a special waiver. I think a number of key Trump supporters are beginning to say, too many generals. Too many generals. The other thing I can report is that McMaster has been briefing General Petraeus on a regular basis, and Petraeus has, I am told, been briefing the Clintons on the internal operations of the Trump White House.
Rodger Stone, this is what Soros does. He's infiltrated scores of governments. He's brought down more than 100. He funded the Arab Spring, the overthrow of the elected Ukrainian government. I got to say it, he's pretty close to Superman when it comes to evil. Or Lex Luthor, he used to, write in articles in the 80s that he believed he was the Christ, the messianic leader. People can search engine that George Soros worried he'd be thrown into lunatic asylums, what pulls it up. But George Soros thought he was the Messiah, and you'll get mainstream articles. And I got to hand it to him. I mean, as for being a Nazi collaborator, when he was 14 to 18, rounding up thousands of Jews when he was 14, making them trust him and then shipping them off to be killed after robbing them, and then right through his life, pure evil, and joining with Islam and flooding Europe. He's a false flag factory, as Tyler Durgan has written. He is amazing. You have to hand it to him.
Well, and Alex, I'm watching what's going on at the Central Florida Post. The Central Florida Post is a small, independent, libertarian-oriented website that's done extraordinary investigative reporting. And when they learn that George Soros essentially purchased the state's attorney, that's the prosecutor, in Seminole County, and that she went on an anti-death penalty jihad, this was exposed, whereupon the threats of legal action and physical threats against those publishing the Central Florida Post, and the immediate reign of fake news tags and other attacks online are amazing. That George Soros' machine and his lackeys would spend this kind of money and effort trying to kill a fledgling libertarian website put together by a bunch of millennials really tells you how threatened they are.
That's right, exactly. That's why they're so committed, because they've committed such incredible crimes worldwide. Their back is now against the wall. They're fighting for their lives. They've called it a death battle. Thank you so much, Rodger Stone. Look forward to the intel you get at this key meeting of the new group, the 45 Group.